Hey everyone! Canada's federal government recently changed its stance on a policy that has shaped the nation's commercial real estate climate over the last 4 years. Beginning in late 2020, to alleviate labor shortages and to boost economic growth, Canada set ambitious new immigration goals. Historically, Canada welcomed about 290,000 net new immigrants per year. But the new efforts to accelerate immigration have generated steady gains. This has culminated in the addition of nearly 1.3 million new residents last year, with 470,000 of that total being permanent immigrants and the remaining 800,000 additions being non-permanent residents. The additional population has helped bolster economic growth, lifting the nation's GDP by nearly $150 billion since the beginning of 2021, about 6.6% cumulative growth. The impact has also supported retail sales, which are now 20% higher than they were just 3.5 years ago. Those gains have helped reduce the retail vacancy rate from 2.5% in the first quarter of 2021 to 1.5% in the second quarter of 2024. The increased retail sales activity has bled over into the industrial market as well, with the total occupied space increasing by 100 million square feet since the first quarter of 2021. That in turn has spurred industrial rent growth. Industrial rents are now 37% higher than they were at the beginning of 2021. In response, developers added a record 42 million square feet of new industrial space in 2023, easing the industrial vacancy rate back up to the 3% range. Looking forward, the pace of industrial construction has begun to abate, and the space demand outlook remains positive. So, while accelerated migration to Canada has brought many positive, it has had some downside effects as well. The new immigration policies have placed additional pressure on the housing market, spurring increased home prices and rents. Compared to the beginning of 2020, Canada home prices now stand nearly 40% higher, at a median of $794,000 nationally as of July 2024. At the same time, the apartment vacancy rate has dropped 170 basis points to 1.5%. This has driven annual rent growth to historic levels of 7.3% in 2022 and 8.4% in 2023. But because construction costs have been elevated, up roughly 60% from early 2020, and construction finance interest rates have been particularly high, new apartment additions have not kept up with housing demand. As a result, apartment rents have increased by 27% since 2020. In an effort to ease the pressure on sectors of the economy that have struggled to keep pace with the population growth, like housing, the federal government has shifted the immigration policy to slow the pace of population growth, effective in the third quarter of 2024. The new policies will restrict inbound temporary residents, including international students, foreign workers, and asylum seekers over the next 3 years. Ultimately, the new plan will draw down the share of temporary residents from the current 6.2% of the population to 5%. While this pullback on immigration should help rebalance the housing market, it'll also likely slow Canada's pace of economic growth. A necessary trade-off, as median home prices in Vancouver flirt with a $2 million price tag and Toronto homes trade in the $1.3 million range. Ultimately, building Canada's population base will be integral to both the national economy and the commercial real estate sector. But sustaining the balance between economic growth and housing affordability will remain essential. And even though the path forward may meander a bit, both the policymakers and real estate investors will need to keep their eyes on the horizon.